Okay, this is a topic I've been meaning to talk about for a few weeks. Not gonna get political, it's got nothing to do with politics, don't you worry about that. This is a story that happened back in January that sort of just tickled my asshole in the wrong way. And I'm gonna do the basic white guy with a podcast thing and vent about it as if it matters. And just be problematic. So, here we go. It's okay. I can do it. The other guy in my podcast is Asian.
I guess you have, yeah, whatever, just go.
Okay. This was a story that happened about a month ago that tickled my booty hole in the wrong way, right? So,
Yes.
6 college students in Massachusetts were accused of luring an active duty service member whom they falsely described as a sexual predator to their campus. This happened on a college campus in Worcester, I believe, where a group of more than 24 people chased and assaulted him. Apparently based on a TikTok trend. It's catch a predator is a big thing on TikTok currently, and 11 teenagers were charged last month in a similar incident, right? That authorities in Mount Prospect, northwest of Chicago, attributed to a social media trend. So they're not even really doing it to be heroes, they're doing it for clout. So what happened here is at Assumption University, private Catholic university in Worcester, where 6 people charged in the plot were students. They were doing this because there was a guy coming there to meet up with a girl, and they either thought the girl was underage, or they thought the age difference was too much. And Dennis, so you want to take a shot in the dark, even though I told you already, and you already know the fucking answer to the question, and we're I don't even know why I'm pretending to do it for a bit. What was the age difference between those two? Was it a 40-year-old guy coming to meet an 18-year-old? Was it somebody in their fucking 50s coming to meet a 16-year-old, a 17-year-old, something actually pedophilic and problematic? What was the age difference between these two people? Good, holding it up for the class to see, even though we don't use webcams on the podcast.
Wait. Let's say this like Dora the Explorer would to the audience. How many years was that difference? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4! That's right. 4.
A 22-year-old guy went there to meet up with an 18-year-old. Which, you can say in some ways, can be problematic because it's okay, whatever, they're barely legal because they just turned 18. But at the same time, the reason I'm bringing this up to bat here is because they assaulted this dude. All the people who assaulted him were charged. There were 24 motherfuckers chasing this dude when they got there and to allegedly set him up for this. And without even knowing the finer details, what it actually springs into my mind is the question that I have here, and it is why does Gen Z have such a problem with age gap relationships? Because to me, it seems like if you were not born within 10 minutes of each other, that you groomed the other person within those 10 minutes of spawning right out of your mother's fucking belly and cooter. I'm not even kidding. You remember that meme of the black kid dropping the O face as if he's shocked? You know that meme? Somebody dropped one of those that's just when Gen Z sees an age difference relationship when you weren't born on the exact same date and time. And it's true because you see that kind of shit online all the time where people freak out about it. And sometimes it's a problem, I came from the Smash community where in 2020 we had the Reckoning, back when I was way more active in that scene, where a bunch of people were getting canceled because they were actually fucking teenagers and shit, actual pedophile stuff. 22 years old and 18 years old. Those are both basically still kids. Sort of. I mean, one obviously younger than the other, but I can't help but feel if the roles were reversed, considering there was a very high-profile relationship in the Smash scene where one of them was 18 and the other was 22, but the dude was the younger one, so nobody fucking batted an eye to it. Y'all in the scene know who I'm talking about. It makes no sense that people ever thought something like this was problematic, and the fact that this was a trend on TikTok made it feel super performative. In this case, yes, right, Dennis, but in other cases, that's not so much so, because it happens so fucking much. And I don't get it. It's we simultaneously live in a... What did we just watch? What just showed up on my Facebook feed that I showed you, in between episodes of us recording here? It's like a 30-year-old dude trying to rizz up a Latina MILF. And he didn't do it. He didn't get her number. But that is seen as okay content. That's not problematic. But a 4-year age difference between two people is, to the point where you gathered up, set this dude up for a trap, literal entrapment, and then assaulted him. Dude, when I was 18, I was dating a 22-year-old myself. We were both in college. We were in the school's choir together. And not only did the choir not have a problem with it, they encouraged it. Like, we were the ones who were trying to keep our relationship secret at first because we didn't know what we were yet, but they were the ones who kept prying about it when they saw us together and stuff, and they teased us in a playful way and encouraged it when they found out we were together. Like, I just feel like, you know, the society's reaction is just completely different when the genders are reversed there, you know?
I even think, generally speaking, like, it all kind of just boils down to that brain rot we always talk about, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I even think it's, like, perception is so weird with, like, Gen Zers. Like, I don't know how they perceive things. It just seems like so, like, they think that it's like a very modern way of thinking, I guess. But then I'm like, but it's always like that degree of like, oh, like they always like sort of take it too far, if that makes sense. And like like that's always just been like kind of how I've seen Gen Zers generally, just because like I think their intentions, generally, and I'm saying this as olive branchy as I fucking possibly can, their intentions are good usually, but they're a little stupid a lot of times. And yeah, they just always have like a degree of like taking things like way too far. And I'm just kind of like, you know, like for one, a lot of them also just can't seem to mind their own business a lot of times. They just always feel like, yeah, I got to get involved somehow. But it's like, motherfucker, your college probably like your tuition's going to probably be raised again next semester. Like, what the fuck are you like worrying about other people's problems? Like,
it turned out this guy was an active duty service member too, who was home attending
like
a
that.
funeral.
Yeah, that too.
He said he was just browsing through Tinder because he just wanted to be around people that were happy, according to his statement. And I don't know if that's true, if the girl was actually underage. That's a different story. I mean, from my knowledge...
Bro just wanted to fuck.
Maybe, yeah. You just wanted something to take your mind off of it, I guess. But, like, obviously, if it's true, if it was true that the girl was underage, which it doesn't seem like it is on account of this story, at least not to the point of assaulting a guy for it, which I don't know if that warrants it. Fucking... it's more so like an age difference thing to me, which I don't really understand, because like regardless of if this story is true or not, which it is true in that he got assaulted. I'm talking about the girl being like underage or some shit, but like it's more so a common factor where like the word pedophile gets thrown around so much nowadays to the point
starting
where
to mean nothing.
Exactly. Like I feel like it's deliberate, and that does nothing to empower it does nothing but empower actual like predators. You know what I mean? Where like something like a 22-year-old trying to meet up with an 18-year-old is considered pedophilic. That's grooming. It can be, I guess, but like, you know, I feel like it's just like there's a new terminology that comes with it, right, Dennis? It's called pop psychology. That like a lot of these like kids learn like with fucking brain rot on TikTok and shit like that, where like a lot of like people play like fucking pretend therapist and get on here and like think like a small age gap means there has to be some huge power imbalance, which hell, as far as you know, the power imbalance could be the other way around. The younger person could be like from a rich family who like actually has like more sway and influence over what actually goes down. You know what I mean? Or it could be something else. Who the fuck knows? Or even like younger person could have power over an older person depending on the context. Really, it all depends on context, and I feel like that shit gets thrown out of the window on the internet and just generalizes everybody as older person predator, younger person victim, and not even just that necessarily. I feel like it's oftentimes like the dude. I'm not trying to sound like a fucking like incel or whatever, but like, you know, and older women do get accused of that shit as well, but like, that shit's not taken seriously. The point I'm trying to say is that, I'm getting sidetracked here, I apologize.
Mm-hmm. Oh, good.
People, I don't know why Gen Z flips out so much, or why they're such fucking prudes about age differences in relationships. I feel like it's so common in that generation to think it's wrong to date anyone that isn't almost your exact fucking age. Like,
They
their age,
whip out the pitchforks like so quickly. That's the thing.
do.
Like,
Yeah, like I dated a girl who was 10 years older than me for a year. Every woman that I've ever been with has been above the age of 30, and I am not in my 30s yet. I lost my virginity to a woman who was legitimately 30 years older than me. And it was fucking awesome. She was hot as shit. She was fresh off a divorce, so like she was ravenous. I didn't get groomed. I initiated it. It was my idea at first, and it was a mutual thing. So there was just, you're gonna tell me, the reason I hate it so much is because like you're gonna tell me that I got groomed. You're gonna undermine my emotions, my feelings about it, and just like my own thoughts and my own autonomy, basically, because that's another word like a lot of these like woke quote unquote people like to throw around, autonomy.
oh yeah, they all got their own vocabulary they love to use.
Even though like you're gonna undermine a guy like my autonomy for losing my virginity to an older woman and saying I got groomed just because she was older, when it was my idea? Like, that's disrespectful as shit. You're gonna tell me I got groomed by, like, one of my ex-girlfriends because she was 10 years older than me? No, like, I was old enough to make my own decisions. I was 22, she was 32. My current girlfriend is 7 years older than me. I don't feel that power imbalance. I don't feel like I'm getting groomed or anything. I'm fucking 8 years old. Like, I'm a grown man, but, like, to some of these people who spend all their time online, and that's what pisses me off about it. It's, like, the people who, like, freak out and, like, change the culture in this way, they're, like, Redditors. They've never actually... The reason that...
You never touched a woman.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they're out here on the internet dictating shit about relationships when you've probably never even smelled a woman in your life.
Or touch grass.
You're the people who are dictating this shit to the point where like it's changed like certain aspects of culture enough that like because of a TikTok trend, they gathered around enough people to assault somebody because he was trying to hook up with somebody who was only 4 years younger than him. That was too much. How do you not realize how fundamentally insane that is? And it's always like the youngest people who are doing it, which is why I'm asking why Gen Z has a problem with it. And to me, it's just gotta be from an actual lack of real world experience and just not knowing fucking actual jack shit about life. Because there's so many age difference relationships, and as far as continuing from my autonomy, my current girlfriend, she's fairly extroverted. Less so than she was when she was my age, but I'm relatively more introverted. Opposites attract in that kind of way. Like, we like to think we're like a yin to each other's yang in a sense, but if me and her were... This is where, like, I'm getting at, Dennis. By their logic... My very untoxic and loving relationship with my beautiful girlfriend that I have now, the best relationship I've ever been in my fucking life, to these people, that is more problematic than if me and her were the same age, dating when we were younger, back when we were two completely different people, and would not mesh with compatibility at all because of her being as extremely extroverted as she was, and me as even extremely introverted as I was back then. That's less problematic than a 7-year age gap when we're more compatible, and also yin to each other's yangs, where opposites attract in a healthier way, than if we would have had a actual more contentious or like differentiating kind of relationship when we were younger just because we were closer to the same age. Funny enough, some of the most toxic relationships I've ever been in were with girls who were the closest to my age. And you're telling me that like relationships where I've been ghosted, gaslit by girls that I picked up at bars before are less toxic just because we were both 22 or like 23 or however old we were at the time? The age difference is more important than the actual subtext of the relationship? These are the people who are dictating, like, you know, how a fucking healthy relationship is when you've never even fucking been in one?
There's the thing, though, too, I realized.
Fundamentally insane.
One thing I also realized about Gen Z was that, like, they disregard people's experiences a lot. Or they just don't even, like, put it into the equation, like, at all.
Do they feel like they know better just because they've read about shit like that online?
They
or they
read it from someone,
or they've read saw some TikTok videos about it or some shit. It's where pop psychology comes in. That's where the terminology comes in, where they feel like they know more about this shit because some influencer told them about it, and they have a lot of big number followers, so it correlates. Like the term gaslighting means nothing anymore because it's been thrown to shit. The word literally, among many other of these words, just even pedophile, which has no meaning, which makes me feel like it's a fucking psyop by actual pedophiles to have like the terminology or like meaning of the word reduced so they can continue to get away with more actual heinous shit. While guys like this fucking like soldier or whatever who were home just trying to hook up with a girl and like fuck his troubles away like from when his grandmother died, that they're the actual like problematic people. It makes no sense to me.
It doesn't. No.
Yeah.
Like, and I think we could even like go into a bit like just, you know, again, like people's priorities. Like, I'm kind of on the one hand, yeah, like a lot of times when Gen Z does get like outraged about anything, like it for one, I find it retarded and like it's just like I think wasted energy. It's like, but then I'm like wondering like, well, what if we harnessed that outrage and like actually threw it at something that like actually deserved it?
Right. Well, if he was 17, she's still underage. That would be illegal.
No.
The fact is,
like,
she was 18.
We're talking strictly like just in terms of that gap. If the guy himself was 30 something, yeah, crucify his ass. I it's, but like 22, the dude, like he's not even in college. Like, I mean, technically he is in college, like in terms of his age, but like, it's just like, it's not that big of a deal, we're saying.
If you think that 24, or not 24, if you think that 22 and 18 years old is weird, that's grooming, that's problematic, without knowing the context of the relationship, you are fucking intellectually disabled, or you just have zero life experience. If everything's legal, who cares? Again, I lost my virginity to an older woman, and I'm so grateful for it because she was patient with me and kind with me when I didn't know what I was doing at first. And then the sex,
and she was hot,
and she was hot as fuck. And then for the rest of the time, me and her had sex. It only got better, and I learned a lot, and it was healthy and it was great. But because there was a 30-year age gap, I was groomed, even though I'm the one who initiated it. How are you going to insult my autonomy by saying that I got groomed when it was my idea?
And your experience too,
and my experience. If everything's legal, who cares? You could still think it's gross, and you're fully entitled to that opinion. Like, oh, I think dating an older person is gross, or I think, 19 is too young for, like, a 22-year-old to be dating or whatever because, like, they're at different phases of their life. That's a fact when it comes to age difference relationships. Sometimes you're just at different phases of your life, both intellectually and economic-wise, and that's why a lot of those relationships don't work out. Fucking MILFs, I get it. Dating them and having a romantic relationship with somebody 30 years older, it can be problematic for a couple of reasons. I still try not to judge, but there are reasons why it doesn't work out. You're just
there's a lot of hoops.
Different.
Yeah,
exactly.
Like you're gonna have to go through. Like you gotta know, like in term, because here's the thing that a lot of people don't understand when it comes to relationships, and I feel as if this kind of depends on how big your personal circle of like friends and family are. Like you're not only, of course, like you are dating them, you are trying to like make something bigger, like maybe eventually get married, whatever, right? But when that happens, and if you, let's say, especially have like a particular circle of like friends and family that you're close with, you're obviously going to be one introducing this person to them, and they are all going to have their own reservations and judgment. Like, it's unfortunate, but it's going to happen.
To the family reunion with a 60-year-old busty Latina, you're gonna get some stares.
Stares, questions, lots of like, like what the fuck, like, is this? Like when you get pulled to the side, like there's gonna be, a lot of that. And, again, I'm not judging again, like, I've seen like not crazy age gaps, but at the very least, like I've seen relationships like that and like they turned out fine. Like, it is like, initially kind of weird, but, it does happen. So it's like, it's not like it can't, but I'm just saying though, for them, it's like, that is like the hurdle that you're going to have to go through, especially if you are close with your friends and family. Like that first time they see them is just going to be like, but here's the thing. I feel as if it's a bit more weird. And this is only just because like I'm calling it double standards here. I feel as if it is a lot more weird if, let's say, a younger girl brings home like a lot older, like a dude who is a lot older.
Oh, the double standard is crazy.
Yeah, that like it's like it's
young guy fucking an older woman.
Worse.
Oh my god, so hot. Jesus Christ, like it's like every guy's fantasy. Oh my god, young dude fucking his teacher or some shit. Totally not problematic at all. She's totally not a pedophile. It's hot. That's sexy, right? But then it's an older dude, a younger girl. Whip out the pitchforks, whole fucking town rolls around. Like this guy that happened in Worcester, meeting up this 18-year-old girl. But that's what pisses me off, then. It's like the nuance of not understanding that a 22-year-old dating an 18-year-old to these people is the same fucking thing as like a dude in his 50s going after like a girl in her younger 20s. It's like, where did the lack of nuance come from that even a slight age difference in a relationship means there's a power dynamic, means there's like an imbalance, means there's terrible... Dude, like, your parents probably have a bigger age gap than that. You don't even fucking realize it. Like, and it's more common than you think. Divorced moms, they love fucking young dudes. That's not just a porn thing. A lot of them do. I'm gonna keep it real with
like
you.
Fucking younger women.
You know, some younger women like getting with older dudes. Like, when it's hookups, I understand. But, like, when it comes to dating, like what me and Dennis just said, the family reunion, it becomes a problem because, like, not only do people will think it's gross, you're just at two vastly different stages in your life. I'm not saying it's not gross, or you cannot have your reservations about it. What just only pisses me off is the lack of nuance that these people had, to the point where they assaulted somebody with 24 motherfuckers chasing this dude around a college campus and beat his ass to the point where they all had to get arrested and had charges like actually forced upon against them. That is the same thing as an emotionally immature 50-year-old man who still tries to date 20-year-olds. Like Leo. Like Leo DiCaprio, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's the same fucking thing.
But Leo gives them jobs.
Yeah, he does, but Leo, it's still problematic because he's like bordering his 50s now. And as soon as a girl hits 25, it's like...
When I say that he gives them jobs, I don't condone what he does. I'm just saying, though, like, as far as Hollywood goes, like, that is a fucking, like, industry that, it's unfortunate to say, there is a lot of networking, dirty or otherwise, that you kind of just have to do. And, I don't know, like, I don't know, I have any other way of saying it. Like, it's, like, I don't condone what he does. I'm just saying, though, it's just like, they probably, I guarantee it, they are probably even just dating him to get a movie role. Because I feel as if most people now, they know that I'm on a like if they're a girl and they're dating Leo, it's just kind of like, I probably have a time limit on this shit, so I might as well just like get what I can out of it. And it's like I know for a fact it's just purely transactional.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Bill Belichick is dating like a fucking 20-something-year-old, and it's fucking gross because he's in like his fucking 70s or some shit, or like his 60s. Like, that's revolting. And hey, here's the thing: your favorite rock star does it. Most likely, I'm going to guarantee it. There are still people who are somehow still Drake fans. And he's an actual pedophile. Like, he actually goes after teenagers, and it's been proven that he has. It's like I'm kind of in the middle, right, Dennis? Because you can think, at a certain age difference, there is a power imbalance because one of the person just has way more life experience than the other one.
Yeah.
If it's like a serious relationship kind of thing, if they're more than not just hooking up. But at the same time, when anybody who starts crying pedophile when two people with a large age gap, or in this case, a small one, is insanely overdramatic, intellectually disabled, in my opinion, has zero life experience, and are watering down a very serious issue and accusation. You're gonna see, why are you clutching your pearls over a fucking 22-year-old and an 18-year-old dating? 4 years? Really? I was 17 and I was dating a high school freshman at the time for like a couple of months.
I even knew like some fucking high school seniors who were like dating college people.
Yeah.
Like, it fucking happens, man. Like, I mean, that's the thing. And maybe one will even argue, like, okay, like, well, like let's say a Gen Z person, like, will argue, it's like, well, that was your guys' time. Like, now it's different. And I'm just kind of like, yeah, but at the same time, why does it happen?
Why is MILFs a fucking category on Pornhub still then? As if people don't have this desire for women that are way older than them.
It's so odd because it's like, it's not even that, like, oh, they find, I don't think it's because they truly find that, like, again, this is not, the gap, again, we're talking about with this dude who got assaulted, like, thing is barely even 4 years, like, a bit more than 4 years, but it's just like, again, like, in terms of the grand scheme of things, like, I'm like, that's not a big deal to me at all. Like, you know, if he was 35 and like she was 17, then I'm just like, okay,
It is
there's
a
a bit of a
rule.
problem there.
It's an unwritten rule that the bigger the age gap is, the more problematic it is. The actual fact is, if you're both over 18, what happens in the bedroom is nobody else's business, but that doesn't mean that some relationships are not problematic when they happen. Another rule that was made up by the internet is when it comes to dating is the half your age plus 7. And if it's any more than that, and I've thought about that rule, and even though it's just a rule that I feel like the internet made up, it could be true psychology, but it's fucking the internet, so it probably isn't. I've thought about that rule, and I kind of do like it, if I mean that. Like, and again, this is coming from a dude who's dating a girl that's 7 years older than me. I've always liked older women. I've always just gotten along with them better, if I'm being honest. I've always just been able to have, like, more intellectual conversations with them. I kind of feel like I'm one of the last millennials, and if I tried to date Gen Z, like, that gap, when I've talked to some of them, we're just on, like, very different wavelengths, and it doesn't make sense. And again, it's just so funny that, like, these internet basement dwellers who've never had a relationship in their life will tell me those relationships where I got gaslit would be more problematic than the current loving one that I'm in right now, just because she's older than you. like, oh my god. But point is, I've thought about that. We're like half your age plus 7. So say like a 30-year-old, half their age would be 15. Obviously that's illegal. So there you go. Plus 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
22.
So 22. So a 30 and a 22. So 8 years.
That's fine.
Yeah, right? I feel like that's
so
fine too.
fine.
And then when you're both old, it's like you both look old and wrinkled anyway, so that also doesn't matter. But
The only
also,
thing they'll both be like low key depressed together anyways, because 30-year-olds already like have like that. Not like I'm saying, maybe not like complete jadedness, but it's just like at least for the 22-year-old, they just finished school. They know what that gauntlet of hell was like, and college is its own like own period of your life that like you'll have it come with its own challenges and like obviously tribulations as well, but like once you finish college and you're out there in the real world, that's a whole nother level that like you kind of experience. And that 30-year-old, he knows what that's like. He knows that the job search sucks. He knows finding like anything sucks ass right now. He knows paying his loans sucks the fat one. And it's for that reason that, like, I even say, like, there's a bit of relatability, like, for them, because it's just like, look, the 30-year-old will just kind of tell them straight up, look, it only gets harder from here, baby. Shit sucks ass. Like, I've been out here, like, it's like, if the guy is, like, let's say, or, girl, whoever, like, it's just like, they are successful and, like, or at the very least, like, they are in a stable point in their lives in terms of like career and finances. It's kind of like, okay, well, now I just gotta basically maintain that. But for a lot of times, like at least a 22-year-old, like when you're fresh out of college and you're an undergrad, like there is like a lot of uncertainty that kind of happens afterwards. And I was there, like we all kind of was there, unless like you had like a job lined up, like you took a nursing program and like you finished, you graduated, like you already had a job lined up, like that, like not a lot of careers are like that, unfortunately. So, like, if you did, good on you. You already had a good start to your post-grad journey to being a jaded 30-year-old.
Yeah.
But, it's a lot of times, like the uncertainty and all that, like, it's just all a part of life. And, like, for a lot of people at a certain age, especially mine, and, eventually, like, in a couple of years, like David, like, well, we all, like, think we've all felt it. Like, we all, like, went through shit, like, in the last, like, let's say if you graduated at 22, like, we all went through shit at, like, afterwards, like, for the subsequent years. And, like, it's, that's where experience comes in, too. Yeah. And, like, that's the thing. Like,
that depends on context, though, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah. And that's why I'm saying, like, in terms of these relationships with the age gaps, it's just kind of like, on one hand, on a really dirty side of me, like, being with, like, let's say an older person, like, is kind of hot. It is pretty hot, though. Not gonna lie. Like, if I'm just saying straight up as a dude, it's pretty fucking hot. I'm just saying. And, like, it's, I think in a lot of ways, like, people can kind of objectively agree on that. Like, it's the reason why that, like,
literally the biggest category in porn.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm just saying, like, I'm not saying Pornhub and, like, their stats is like any statistic to like kind of really go by, but at the very least it's like it's all there in a way. Like we all had a thing for our teachers, we all had a thing for certain older people, like I mean, unless you just really weren't into it, then okay, like, whatever. But I'm saying like there's a really large amount of people that like really are like, they like that shit. But then I'm like, that's why I'm going back to this, and I'm like, 4 years? Who fucking cares? Like,
but Bill Belichick dating like a fucking 22-year-old is fine. Like, what the fuck?
Priorities, right? Priorities.
Because he has money, it's either the double standard. Like, it all depends on the context. Like, their relationship is clearly fucking mutually beneficial in that, like, he gets to fuck a young girl and that she gets his money. That's clearly where that is. No judgments. Y'all do you. I can think that's gross because you can think it's immoral. The same way some people think like a guy fucking a girl 30 years older than him is gross. But hey, she could be divorced. She could have like caught her man like cheating on her or some shit. She felt ugly. She felt like she's old and ugly anymore. Then a young dude comes along and thinks she's the most beautiful thing that he's ever seen in his life up to that point. And they give each other that mutually beneficial thing. Or, sometimes y'all just happen to see each other in a different light and there is like a little bit of an age difference, but you just still vibe with each other really well. And it's fine. It all depends on context. And I feel like context and nuance has just gone to die because social media is just fucking all of that up. Which is why I think the kids that are raised with social media, and even raised by it in some cases, see this shit as super problematic. It's like their fucking brain literally can't tell the difference between someone like Leo DiCaprio using his power and money to fuck girls that are barely out of college when he's in his 50s, to a 22-year-old and an 18-year-old. To the point where they assault him. If you cannot tell the difference between those two things,
you are retarded.
You're actually fundamentally, like, intellectually disabled. And you are proving to all of us that you have zero fucking life experience. That's the funny thing. It's not even just that they get raised by social media. It's like proving that, like, have you ever been in a relationship yourself? Relationships with age gaps are way more common than you think. Way more common.
Oh, yeah.
Way more fucking common than you think. I hate to break it to you. You go to, like, your bar or whatever, like your hotel bar. There's, like, you see your local divorced older mom there. You think she's not going to give, like, a young dude potentially a chance if he's, like, charming and, like, suave enough? My girlfriend's 7 years older than me, and it's loving, and, like, we, like, bring out the best in each other.
You guys just met that gap.
Right? And it brings out that threshold, right? Because, like, I'm very introverted, she's very extroverted. Like, we bring each other, like, out a little yin-yang. She actually got me this for Valentine's Day, right? Like, we call each other, she got me a lot of things for Valentine's Day. She's the fucking best. And one of the things we've always described our relationship as is a sort of yin-yang, that we're sort of like Icarus. Like, we bring out the best in each other, like, because we both bring each other down a notch because of me being introverted and her being extroverted and us just being there at that time in each other's lives. So I have a little yang, and she has the other one. She has the yin, so like we have those matching bracelets. We have another one that puts up with each other because she knows I like these bracelets too and whatnot. That from a woman who like thought of me and got me all those things and whatnot, and got me an actual beautiful symbol like of what our love is and what it means to both of us. That's more problematic than me dating some toxic girl that I meet at a fucking bar because she's also 28. Go back on Reddit, you fucking virgin. Like, honest to Christ. Like, that's the shit I hate. That these people will openly advocate for what are seemingly more problematic relationships and not undermine my autonomy by saying the beautiful, loving one that I'm in now is more problematic just because she's older. Like, fuck off. Like, where... It's so stupid, man. Like, that lack of nuance, like, that lack of accountability, the lack of, like, respecting somebody's autonomy, like, the lack of life experience above all that. And to say that, like, oh, like, but it's okay, David, this is just all online shit, it's fake. Why are you venting about this shit? You said you were gonna stop doing that on this podcast. Well, a dude just got assaulted over it. So... Clearly, it's impacted, like, the youth culture
so
in
the gloves
some
are
way.
off.
Yeah, like, clearly it's impacted the youth culture in enough of a way to the point where they thought doing an actual to catch a predator thing, like, fucking, like, the booty warrior, was, like, actually, like, valid.
No, remember, he was there for man's butt.
And we laugh at the booty warrior, too, which is the crazy part.
He literally
so
raped
much
the
shit
dude.
Doesn't make sense. Exactly!
Like... I mean, that was fictional, obviously, like, if it's from Boondocks, but, like, we literally, like, saw a 2D man maybe off screen, sure, but like, we saw a 2D man rape another man, and we laughed about it.
Yeah.
So
I feel like,
just saying, like.
I feel like the whole mindset stems from people who are just non-competitive in the dating scene. Like, it's gotta be people, because I feel like a lot of these guys, if all of a sudden like a hot, sexy MILF came up to them, all of a sudden age gaps aren't a problem, right?
Oh, of course.
And there's young women who like older dudes too, and you can say that's gross, you can say that's problematic, and you're entitled to your opinion, truthfully. It's just the equation of something like what happened with this case in Worcester, with the 22-year-old and the 18-year-old, being considered the same thing as like a dude in his 60s, like praying after like a girl who's like not even out of college yet. It's like, I feel like maybe do other like 22-year-old dudes just don't like it because they want to be that guy? Is that it? Or other 22-year-old women don't like it because they can't compete?
We all want what we don't have, man.
I feel like it's all an exercise in jealousy or just like a lack of life experience. The point is, it all stems from something else. Like, I feel like it's subversion, or rather it's projection, and not actually because they think it's problematic deep down. It's got to be like some form of virtue signaling or something, which is, something a lot of people do online nowadays because the internet promotes that, but in part, that's a whole different discussion. You can say, like, you wouldn't date somebody who's of, like, a certain younger age, and that's fine. That's you. That's your standard. But, like, truthfully, like, even, like, a 10-year age gap, which I've had before, and a 7-year one, which I have now. The 10-year one was problematic for completely different reasons, but it's not because she was older than me. It was for different reasons. She was a fucking lesbian, and she just wasn't, like, she couldn't come to terms with herself because she lived repressed and her mom didn't understand it, and now she's flourishing as herself and is dating somebody who's great for her. And there's even an age gap in their relationship too, I think. Apparently that person's younger than me, which is nuts. But at the same time, they make each other happy. And to say that that relationship would be less problematic than like her dating like a straight dude or something, it doesn't make any sense. Or that mine, which we've established a great dynamic, and quite frankly is the healthiest relationship I've ever been in my life, and is with somebody genuine and sweet who makes me happy, to say that that's worse because of just nothing but an age gap proves you have no nuance and that you've never actually experienced probably romantic love in your life. Because older people hook up with young people. It happens. Trust me, it fucking happens. And what happens when you're grown, consenting adults with your frontal lobes all fully developed is nobody's business but theirs. You are allowed to think it's gross, but you need to have some nuance. And stop calling people pedophiles when there's like a legal age gap between the two of them. Like a 4-year age gap, because all it does is empower actual pedophiles, because you're undermining the concept of...
Yeah, I was going to say, like, if
you're undermining
eating,
the word.
It's definitely real pedophiles.
Yeah, they just watch this shit and, like, knowing that they're probably going to be able to just go onto the table and get away with even more heinous shit than they already do, because guys like this are taking the heat. You're mad about the wrong, like, thing. Like...
Yeah.
Whatever, I've said the same thing enough over and over again. It just pisses me off as a guy who's always been into older women, who has literally never fucked a woman below the age of 30, and as far as I'm concerned, never will again, or want to again. Just to say that every bit of my love has been problematic, and that you're saying my love that I have for my girlfriend is problematic. Who the fuck are you to say that? Who the fuck are you? Like, real shit, who the fuck are you to say that? Just somebody jealous with no life experience in and of yourself, People like what they like, alright? People have their fetishes that you would find disgusting, too, by the way. Like, fetishes and kinks that you'd find disgusting, but to each their own for everybody. As long as everybody's consenting, it's not illegal, it's not problematic, just let it be. Just let it fucking be, man. All right, I had to get that off my chest. I needed some topic for the second podcast today. Been in a lot of age gap relationships myself. I'm currently in one that would be considered that. There's always technically an age gap. You could be born 10 minutes apart. That's an age gap. That's technically an age gap. I'm talking myself in circles at this point. I'm sorry, Dennis. We're done. We hope you all enjoyed this one. I just had to vent about this. I'm sorry, Dennis.
No. All good, man.
Yeah, I just think it's dumb. There's also context to people. Like, sometimes people just vibe with people who are of a different age group than them. I have Asperger's. I've always been told that, excuse me, despite, like, certain levels of immaturity, that I'm an old soul. My girl calls me an old man all the time because of the vitamins I take in the morning. So she fucking roasts me for being an old man. I've just always vibed with women like her, and just with older women. They're the ones that I've always been able to feel like more like myself around and be myself around. And I don't know, to have what seemingly like a whole online generation say that's problematic for reasons that they don't even fucking understand is the kind of thing that keeps me up at night and makes me want to go drown myself in a closet, once this shit is over. But I don't have to do that because I'm happy and healthily with somebody right now. As my boy here will be again one day, because he's one of the kindest and sweetest and funniest, smartest fucking people I've ever met in my life. I hope you get a fucking hot, sexy-ass MILF, Dennis. I hope you do that. I hope you meet a fucking, like, divorced woman at a bar, just needs some da-da-da-da-da dick, and fucking plow.
Let me get my own life together first.
Okay, that's how I felt too before I met my girl. I told myself I'm not ready for a relationship. I don't have like a good paying job yet or whatever, but sometimes life throws you a curveball, and that curveball's not going to make sense at first, but then it hits you right in the fucking neck, and you're like, wow, and it wins you in the right way. You never know, man. Just look at it as an open book. It's the optimistic way to look at it. We both know you have much to offer the world. I only wish that the Redditors of Gen Z could see it too. We love y'all. Double D Experience, that's what you're listening to right now. We hope you enjoyed this cringy-ass rant about age gap relationships and how they're nobody else's business besides the people involved in them, and how a lot of them are problematic, don't get me wrong, but are way less problematic than you might think, and are more commonplace than you might think as well. At least not in the alarmist or neurotic sense that a lot of these people online seem to think it is. It's just crazy to see it, like a whole online generation just seem to collectively be like, oh, this is fucked up and gross. You guys were born 4 minutes apart. You're a pedophile. Like, right out the room, right out the womb, just instant pedo. Yeah. We love y'all. You could like, comment, and subscribe to the podcast if you enjoyed that. Double D Experience. We have a new episode every single week. Right here on youtube.com/Nintoonist. Leave us in the comments down below what you might think. If you prefer listening on podcast listening platforms like Spotify or Apple Podcasts, you can leave us a 5-star review on the former on Spotify. It helps us out with our SEO on that platform a lot. And that will pretty much do it. Let us know what you think about this type of malarkey in the comments. Or let us know what your rules about relationships are too, because it's always personal as well. You could be a 23-year-old and think dating a 19-year-old is gross. Like if you're out of college and she's still in college. And I respect that, Just don't fucking get 24 people off of TikTok to beat the shit out of some, like, fucking army dude because he was trying to hook up with a girl that was of legal age just because he was sad his grandma died. All right?
Bro just needed some comfort, yo.
He needed some cum.
For her.
Hey! I hate my life. I'm done with this shit.
Yeah.
Bye.